Good morning guys, I'm Chris and welcome back to another episode of Rift Amps. Just had this dropped in for service and inspection. It is a red plate CDS3, which I believe is somewhere in the Dumberley area, I guess. I think it's actually a signature amp for a player. Not entirely sure. I had a quick look on the Red Plate website. This model is no longer listed. Interesting. So couldn't find too much information on it. It's not the first Red Plate amp that I've had here in the shop, but it is certainly the first CDS3. So I am just as intrigued as you are to get inside, have a look, check it out and see what's what. So what's it come in for? Well, the owner contacted me and said very sporadically he notices that there's a drop in output over a period about 5 or 6 seconds and then it will come back. It's only done it 2 or 3 times, but it doesn't seem to be related to how long the amplifier's been on. It doesn't seem to be related to power supplies or anything like that, although one time he said it did it. He was playing at a festival where they were using a generator, so he's not entirely sure, but and I commend him for this, he did say it did also happen with another amplifier of his, so he's not ruling out that it's an issue either with his pedal board or cables or anything like that. He is aware that that could be a possibility, but he's brought it into me. He'd like me to go through it, give it a full health check, a service, go through it, make sure it's all okay, make sure there's no issues, because it hasn't been checked over for quite a long time. So it's due a good inspection anyway, whether or not that the issues he's having is from the amplifier or something else. So that's what we're doing. So it's, I think it's a 2-channel amplifier. It's got a lot of options on it. So we've got your input here, got a 3-position bright switch, top, middle, bottom, Michael Barrymore. Volume, treble, middle, bass. Got a mode switch, funk, in between, normal, in between, fat, and then a lift. No idea. Gain control that's got an on-off bypass switch and then obviously your variable control. Drive control that you can pull out. A level control that feels slightly notched. It might not be. Got a tweed control where you can pull. A brown control that you can pull. A presence control that's on a switch. And it's got a master control that you can pull out as well. So lots of switching options on the front, even more on the back. So here's the foot switch, got a clean boost and drive switch. So what does that give us? 6 different combinations? More than that? Anyway, overall it's in really nice condition. Standard bit of gaffer tape on it. Couple of nicks and things, but there's what you kind of expect from an amp that's actually been used and gigged. So not bad. Right, let's spin this thing over. Oh, actually, let's have a look at this. So he's had a replacement handle, he told me. So this is a replacement for the original, and he's using this handle protector. And I think that's a really good idea, because this amp is surprisingly heavy, and it's quite a small box. So it's a lot of weight concentrated in one area. So being able to spread that load with something like this feels like a good idea. I do approve. Anyway, let's spin this thing around and we'll take a look at the back. So here we go. Oval port on the lower baffle. Small 9-inch reverb tank. Celestion G1265. I don't think that's the original speaker. I don't think that is the original speaker. Correct me if I'm wrong. Comments down below. Here's the rear panel. So we've got a combined on-off IEC and fuse socket here. Nice beefy unit. And as far as I remember, to change the voltage on it, you just pull this out. So it's currently set to 240 volt. You just spin it over, and that's how you get North American voltage. And inside you've got 2 sets of fuses. So that's pretty cool. That's a nice bit of kit. Rotate fuse cap for alternative voltage and fuse. There you go. So we've got on off, and that's your standby switch. Let me see that. We've got a fixed bias or cathode bias switch. 6L6 is in fixed bias. 6L6 or 6V6 in cathode bias mode. Bias test point there. Bias adjust there. Impedance select switch, and if you're running 6V6s, set it to the next lower one than what you're using. So we've got a main speaker, an extension speaker, and a line out. Got an effects loop, reverb control, on-off reverb, and then we've got some more switches, some more voicing switches here. So there's a lot to do. This particular one was assembled by Keith, designed by H2. I think the guy's name is Henry. And this particular amp was sold through Coda Music here in the UK. It's pretty cool that they print that on the rear panel. So it's running 6L6s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 preamp valves, massive mercury magnetics transformers, those big red units in the back. Pretty cool, eh? Right, let's get the chassis pulled out. We can do a top side and an inside inspection. Right, working on the Vox AC10 overhead camera setup. So hopefully everyone can see it all clearly. So starting with the output section of the amplifier. So here are the 2 EL84 sockets. Here's the rectifier socket, which is an EZ81. Just going ahead and measuring, testing components. I'm going to replace the cathode bypass cap for the output stage. It's a 50 microfarad, 50 volt Hunts cap, which are often quite leaky. So I've got this this Vishay 47 microfarad, 63 volter to go in its place. But while I'm at it, I'm just looking at the state of these resistors and the condition of them. Now, we've got 1K5 grid resistors, grid stoppers. But we've also got 150 ohm screen stoppers. Future Chris here, quick point of order. Some of you would have already noticed it, but I did misspeak. I'm just editing the Vox AC10 segment where I said that the 150 ohm resistors were screen stoppers. Well, of course, that's incorrect. Looking at the schematic, this is the one I found online. You'll see that those resistors are anode stoppers, and it does not have screen stoppers. These are anode stoppers. There are no screen stoppers, and of course, there you go. That red wire is your screen supply from the B+ rail. So before you all shout at me, I did spot the mistake. Sorry for mistaking, but it is important that we get these things right. And they appear to be different. And judging by the solder joint on this socket, this resistor has been replaced in the past. So usual story, I suspect this valve went bang, took that resistor with it. That got replaced. But this side was okay. But this resistor itself is looking very toasty. It's not looking healthy at all. So, zoom you out. Let's take some measurements. So let's start with the cathode bypass resistor. It's marked as 130 ohms. Hopefully you can see my meter. Oh, I need to put a new battery in it. to ground. And it measures 129, 130 ohms. Pretty much bang on spec. Whether that ends up being the right value for the bias point that we want, we shall find out. But that's that one. Okay, so this 150 ohm here, that I assume is a replacement, measures 149.3 ohms. That's close enough, isn't it? Let's have a look at this one. 136.9, 137. Now, that's interesting because usually as resistors get hot and old, they increase in value, but this one has decreased. And it is not, I'll zoom you in again, looking like it's in great condition. So I would prefer, since we want this to be performing the best it can, to swap this resistor out to one that's closer matched to this. Whether we end up replacing this one as well remains to be seen. Let's just measure these 1K5s. See what we get. .87. I think that's out of tolerance. And this one, 2. See if we can get a good. There you go, 1.81. So they're both drifted up, haven't they? So they've gone up to their next E12 value. So those are going to need swapping out too. So really, we are going to need to swap out 1, 2, 3, 4 resistors, this cathode bypass cap here, and then once we've got the amp up and running, we can measure the bias point properly. We can check whether we want to increase or decrease the value of the cathode resistor. So with the cap removed, see if we can get a closer look at it. Hunt's 50 microfarad, 50 volts DC working. WKG means working voltage. There you go. So we'll stick it on my little tester. Black to negative. Red to positive. This is only a cheap Chinese tester, but it is surprisingly accurate. So it measures 63.6 microfarads, and you see it's flickering. And the reason it's flickering is that this cap is leaking. So it's struggling to get a stable reading. But it's way over 50 microfarad. If it was 10% tolerance, it would be 55 would be the upper limit. At 20% tolerance, that would be 60 microfarad. So we're way over that. So even though I could test it for leakage, but as far as capacitance is concerned, we're now out of tolerance. So this is no longer serviceable, so should be replaced. Okay, so that's that job pretty much done now. So I have replaced the cathode bypass cap for the output valves, the screen stoppers, and the grid stoppers. And they're all matching sets now. So all I've got to do is connect back up the cathodes to the cathode resistor, and then for the time being, this section is done. Here we go then. So lovely, lovely, thick, sturdy chassis on this thing. We've got those mercury magnetic transformers, as I said. JJ cap can. Nice little bit of cable management going on here. All nicely done. But not much to report on this side. So let's get this thing flipped over and we'll have a look inside. See if we can see anything that's not quite right. And inside we go. I've got it supported on this chassis stand, and we're having a look inside, and wow, okay. You can always tell when the builder takes pride in his work. Now, that's not necessarily meaning that the work is well done, but it means at least they took pride in their work. Now, as far as I can see, not only did Keith take pride in his work, he's done a pretty good job as well. There's nothing in here, or there are very little things in here that make me go, oh, that's not right, that's not good, that could be done better. And often sometimes when you see stuff like that, it's more of a case of understanding what's been done, and then maybe you can understand why it's been done and why they've approached that particular task in a particular way. But overall, first impressions, I'm quite impressed with this. Not bad at all, right? Eyelet board design, centralized eyelet board here, most of your components on. Got a secondary eyelet board here for the the preamp valve sockets for certain components. Output valve sockets here, nicely laid out. We've got a board on the side here. Transformers, the mains transformer is properly supported. Kept nuts. So this thing is sandwiched into the chassis. One of them is being used as a ground at the back there. I assume it's a ground. But it's not the end of the world, to be honest. Not the end of the world. We've seen much more expensive amplifiers than this built much worse. So, we're not going to mark him down for that. Overall, good standard quality components used. Lots of fancy switching and bits going on. This octopus arm of shielded wires running along the front of the chassis and up to all the controls. I guess if it works, right? I guess if it works, just a lot of... I feel like there would be a simpler way of doing that, but again, this is one of those things where, because I don't understand the reasons why he's done it in the way he has, it does look odd to me. But if I did understand it, maybe it would make sense. Okay. But overall, pretty nice. Pretty nice indeed. I'm sure it sounds great. So, I have found one thing, whether that is the cause of the issue it's having or whether it's a legacy issue that hasn't been repaired properly, I don't yet know. But I'll show you what I found on... So we've got V1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and V7, the first output valve. There has been in the past an anode to heater short, and you can see all that carbon build up. We'll try and get you a better shot, get some more light in here. Sorry. We zoom you in, you see that? So we've definitely got an issue here. Now, I can't leave that, even if it's not the issue that the customer is having. I cannot send this amplifier back out into the world without sorting this out. So I'm going to have to desolder these connections, thoroughly clean the area, remove all the carbon and bits and pieces. Get you focused again. There you go. and then put it all back together. If I can't get that socket properly clean, we're going to have to swap it out. Now, thankfully, they are Beltons, so nice quality. So yes, that's what I've got to do. We'll get that sorted. I was going to fire this up on the bench, but now I've seen that, and I don't want to create any further risk of arcing or shorting. So yeah, we'll have to sort that before we go any further with the red plate CDS3. Well, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much for watching once again. Please give this video a thumbs up. All your comments and questions down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Subscriber numbers are going up, but as a percentage of total views, it remains around 1/3. So we need to sort that out, you know. Everyone who subscribes should watch the channel, but everyone who watches the channel should also subscribe. That'd be great. Join the channel like these guys have. For those that are interested, I am racing this weekend. So by the time you watch this video, I'm racing on Saturday. This video comes out on Sunday. Would have already happened. I'll give you an update in the Q&A how that went. And I will catch you all at the next one. That's very special, I think. So there's two harmonics going on there. You've got the first and the fifth going. That is amazing. Yeah, listen to the speed of it. As the note decays, it gets faster.
What is that? Is that harmonics?
So as the harmonics decay, the phases pattern, they're going in and out of phase with each other.
Okay.
But obviously, for some reason, usually they stay the same speed.
But they're just shifting.
But this is just, it kind of speeds up. It does go there. See that? Scatter stayed the same. Now it's slow. Oh! It's amazing the difference a string makes, isn't it? So let's find that.
play with it. Well, I find that's always interesting when like what you're playing is giving you something back. So like, so it's a conversation almost.
Right, so bridge pickup. So I'm just playing the two E's there, but both pickups. Okay, so as I manipulate that one, as I get closer, it speeds up. And as you go past it, it slows down and then it comes back again.
That note is like boom.
Yeah. So could you? So it's like almost like an envelope filter.
Yeah.
What it's doing.
That is cool.
Now. So that's all an E, so let's try on an A. That's prominent, but it's there. Do you mind if I dropped it?
Yeah, go.
Not in D.
That E that was really.
Yeah.
The sound of the 50s.
Oh no. I think you're right about that clean tone. It's definitely it's a doorbell, isn't it?
Yeah.
How did he used to do it?